So I was inviting another TI on Quora to the skills economy. And specifically, I was suggesting that if they run into anyone who is looking to exchange resources with another TI, to point them to my page. And I received a one word answer of nonsense, which I think is pretty weird. For starters, it's important not to jump to conclusions. And so I did respond to the message to ask for clarification on what they thought was nonsense. But the skills economy is pretty straightforward. It's nothing it's nothing novel in the sense of an economy. It's novel in the sense of doing it for the first time across targeted individuals across the globe. But the concept is very simple. If you need a ride, instead of calling Uber and paying the Spectorati for a ride, pay another TI for that. Because when you pay the Spectorati for any type of services or good, you're basically allowing them to continue to operate because that is how they're funneling money to individuals to basically harass you. And so you need a ride. If you can go to the Skills Economy app and you can see if there's another TI available. You know, if you are looking for a roommate or you're looking for new housing, then you can go to one of the features called Lighthouse, which is kind of like the Airbnb for TIs. And you can look through listings there or post your own listing. And so I found it super odd for someone to say that that is nonsense. And the reality of it is, you have other human beings running around stating that they're the Illuminati, that they fashion themselves to be gods, that they can traffic people, manipulate people, do whatever they want to other individuals, which, by the way, the United Nations classifies as torture and inhumane. That is nonsense, actually. And so I really want to make this post about the skills economy to really say, like, really plainly, simply what it really is. It doesn't claim to solve the issue of human trafficking. That is a much bigger issue. Um, that's not something I can solve. I am not a mental health professional. Um, I'm not in law enforcement either. So these are not things that I can specifically solve. But when it comes to the different side effects that happens because of the harassment, like being mobbed out of workplaces, having your food poisoned, your stuff constantly stolen. These are things that actually can be addressed and can be solved with living with like minded individuals. And so the reason why I have this screen specifically pulled up, it is the workforce plugin slash app feature of the product. So how did I get here? So when you first log into the app, this is what the page looks like. Now, there are two themes. Usually when I do the demo, I'm under a different design. If you want to change the design, you would actually go into settings and you go to your data and deletion. And here is how you can switch to the default theme. So that's usually what I am on. So that's why the app may look different than it has in the past. But all it is just a styling choice. So I'll switch back to the comic theme. So when you log in, you're at the group chat of the app. And the purpose of the group chat is so you can ask questions about the skills economy and get answers from myself or other individuals. Because this is a global community, if I'm not available by posting it in the group chat, someone else can respond to it. But let's go ahead and go back to why I want to do this video. So that's the homepage. Click the four squares icon and you're at the all apps. And then you can scroll all the way to the bottom until you reach workforce. And that's how I got here. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this screen is because I think it may sound like super elaborate to say, like, oh, given how the Spectorati have basically made each one of us destitute, How could it possibly be that we could recover from such a thing? And again, this specifically does not address the that specific issue. You know what I mean? Organized crime is organized crime. It's going to continue to exist. You know, in my opinion, all you can really do is mitigate it, right? And technically, the skills economy mitigates that for us specifically. And so I think at face value, maybe it sounds like it's like impossible, especially since this has been going on for centuries. They have their children as young as 2 years old participating in this, right? And the early writings I found about them is from 1609. So this is nothing new. But at the same point, we can't discount history and how other groups who have been oppressed have recovered. Because this has been done before. And again, it's cohabitating and trading skills with like minded individuals, right? And so, given how many targeted individuals there are globally, I estimate that is about 1 million. I did write a blog post about how I came to the 5 million number, and it's basically based on United Nations. So approximately 2 million individuals are reported to the United Nations of organized harassment and stalking. Crime is underreported by 50% is usually the statistic. Take, for example, myself. I haven't reported this to the United Nations. Plenty of people haven't, right? And then I rounded up for additional people who may not be aware yet. Because in my instance, it started at 5 years old, right? And at 5 years old, even though I saw it, there's no way I could have had the words to articulate that it was that this, you know, of what is happening at this moment as an adult. And so 5 million is just the estimate. And I built the entire skills economy to support at least 5 million people, right? But I don't want to overly fixate on that number. As more data comes in, that number will change. But the whole point is to kind of really understand the framing of where I'm coming from and to help individuals. You know, when you attach the numbers and you show the math, it makes it much easier for people to understand how do you actually overcome it. And so we wouldn't even need 5 million people exactly in order to have a sustainable system where each one of us can thrive individually. And so where do I base, aside from, okay, that's the population size estimated roughly. What is the significance of even putting this in the app as well? Well, when you look at smaller economies such as Finland or Singapore, they also have a population size that's 5 million or under. And both those economies are thriving. Both of them are primarily service based, right? So they're not necessarily farming. A lot of the stuff they may have to import. And so, what that means for a targeted individual is very significant because we also have the same thing. So while I'm not advocating for us to form a nation state, and that's not at all what I'm doing with the skills economy, it is a good example to look at the nation states that don't have specific infrastructure and are primarily service based, and yet their economies are thriving. And so what the skills economy is effectively doing is allowing all of us to connect globally, remotely, and run a service based economy. And in generally speaking, for economies, you have a 40% participation rate, meaning only 40% of the population is actually working and trading skills. For example, what is the other population doing? So these are like children, maybe people who are disabled and can't work, elderly, retired, etc. And so at a 40% participation rate, you'll see that workforce shows that that means, there's probably about 2 million targeted individuals who are willing or capable to be employed, right? Um, and so this is a running tracker for you to visually see the progress that is being made of all the skills that's being gathered within the community and all the resources that are available to really show you that this is very possible. With just 94 individuals discovered via the core ecosystem of people who are targeted individuals and who have at some point stated on core what their skill set is, you can see that we have 38 people who have foundational skills, 91 in intermediate, and 88 in advanced. So, what is the significance of seeing that skill level breakdown? Is because that is almost identical to the skill level breakdown of thriving economies such as Finland and Singapore. So you see how this is all connecting and how very realistic this is, right? That's the point of Workforce. It's a up-to-date live tracker distribution of everyone's skills, and you can use this multiple ways, right? So you can use this as a motivational tool to see, how the community is progressing in terms of being fully self-sufficient. So as more people enter, the less you have to depend on the spectorati for any type of service and good. And when that happens, the less harassment that you have to endure, right? Um, I do want to quickly say another way you could use this as well is to see where are the gaps. So at one point, someone wrote on Quora, "Hey, I'm 19 years old. I'm being gang stalked. I can now no longer have any type of career." That's not true. Because again, if you're an individual in Singapore, you can definitely have a career amongst 5 million people. That's ample enough, right? And so an individual like that can come to Workforce and see, okay, you know what, foundational is pretty low. What are some of the examples of jobs in foundational? So those are plumbers, mechanics, HVAC techs, etc. And so this is a way for you to see where are the gaps within our global community. You could level up and then basically offer that skill to another individual and exchange it for goods and services as well. And so I wanted to basically do this video again as a response to that comment. Again, I haven't received a response yet, but the way I took it in them saying nonsense is kind of two specific ways. One, do I believe that the skills economy will end human trafficking and organized harassment? Absolutely not. And another way to look at it as well, and that's not the intention, right? But the whole goal is if you don't depend on them for goods and services, then who cares what they're saying or doing, right? It's not really relevant at that point. The other way to take it is it realistic? Is this really possible that millions of people who are basically being trafficked and forced into destitution can actually come together and build an economy? And the answer is yes, right? Um, in terms of country examples, and I did write a post on this on Quora, so you can take a look at it that gave examples. You can look at countries like Ireland, Botswana, what's another one? Estonia. So these are countries that had to basically build from zero, and they were able to successfully do it. And so those are, again, that's my response to the two types of pushback that could possibly happen when you think about the skills economy. But at the end of the day, put all of that aside, right? The skills economy, you use it as you like, you come and go, right? It doesn't have to be some transformative thing in your life, right? It could just be a simple thing as you need housing. You can browse the housing list and just use that. You don't have to use every feature. This doesn't have to change your life. You don't have to use the app every day. That's not its intention, right? The whole goal is that it's meant to help you whenever you need something, right? It's going to be your safety line. Because as you already know, each day of the week they're running different types of games. They're doing different types of roller coasters to have you make you have a bad day or lose an asset or something like that. And so you never know when you're going to need a helping hand. And so skills economy can just provide that simple basic need when you need it, right? And so I was able to give you better insight into what skills economy is, as well as give you additional tips on how to use the app. Again, if you go to the homepage, which is the group chat, that is the support channel. So whenever you have questions or concerns or feedback, please use it and then I'll respond as soon as possible. And of course, you're always welcome to respond to any posts on Quora as well.